You're listening to the Real Elevation podcast. I'm your host, Mike Hendricks, and here we discuss topics on personal fitness, well-being, and elevation of mind and body. Join us as we help build and grow a community of real, elevated men and women. If you're currently feeling frustrated, flat, and fed up with life, or want to be a physically and mentally elevated individual, you're invited to join us each and every week here on the Real Elevation podcast. Welcome to the RE family and get ready to elevate your mind and body. Welcome back to the Real Elevation podcast. I'm your host, Mike Hendricks, and today we have another outstanding, informative, and elevating show for you. As always, I'm welcoming all first-time listeners to the podcast. And make sure you are staying with us all the way to the end of the show, where I will be sharing my social media links where you can connect with me, share with me how you are doing, what's new in your world as we grow the Real Elevation podcast community. Welcome, God bless. Thank you once again for joining in. So today we're talking about a key point that's going to really help you win when it comes to moving towards your well-being and your fitness goals. We always like to cut through the noise and keep it super simple for you to help you find that freedom through fitness and elevate both mind and body. So let's have a look at this word here, which is very often overlooked when it comes to getting our goals in the scope, getting focused. We're talking about clarity. Listen, I know, like many people over the age of 45, are busy. You're running a business, you've got family to deal with and kids to raise, you're juggling a million things all at once. And carving out time to focus on your goals can be a little bit daunting, can be a little bit overwhelming. I speak to many people who found themselves in this position. But what if I told you that focus isn't about doing more? It's about doing what really matters, things that can really move the needle forward. And what can help you to do that is getting clear, that word clarity. Yeah. But let's just pause and think about that word clarity and just unpack it, if you like, think about what it actually means. And when I use the word clarity, I'm not just thinking about just seeing something clearly. It's about getting rid of the haze, getting rid of the distortion, if you like, and eliminating anything that is unnecessary and aligning with actions and behaviors and practices that you prioritize. We know the world is full of distractions and it's not easy. I get that. If you've got a particular goal that you want to achieve, you want to see changes, you want to upskill, upgrade your fitness, it's very, very difficult. But this is where power in clarity really helps to move the needle. Clarity gives you that direction. It gives you that calm because you know exactly what you need to do. So when it comes to your health and fitness, it's very, very important that you understand clearly what it is that you want to do, because those intentions that you have with clarity, they can make some real lasting transformation. So today we're talking about that, getting you in a mindset, in a mind frame that's going to help you move towards and make those changes that you truly want and desire. So we're talking about Capitalise with clarity. 4 ways to focus on your fitness and win. Capitalise with clarity. 4 ways to focus on your fitness and win. We're going to look at practical, science-backed ways that you can really look at sharpening your focus in a calm and collected manner. Doubling down on what works. Again, without stress, without frustration. And finally, win, so make those gains, that progress that you really want to see when it comes to your fitness goals. All right, so let's dive in. Let's start with the first, number 1. Clarify your why and visit it often. So you've probably heard this before. What is your why? You may be currently in a situation where you're not happy with the way things are. It could be to do with your productivity, your personal performance. It could be your weight, it could be your fitness, it could be your strength, it could be how much stress you have in your life. Whatever it is, you're not happy at the moment. But why is it that you want to change? Now, for a lot of us, we kind of skip over this or maybe visit it infrequently. We say we want to change, or for example, we want to get our weight down, or we want to improve our fitness. But why is it that you really want to do? And really double down and ask that question, because it's not something that you just think about once. You have to keep revisiting that. It's your internal compass. When I'm working with my clients, I often say, when they come to me, I want to get back to feeling fit and energetic. All right, that's great, real good goal. I can definitely help you with that. Why is that important to you? Well, I've not been performing for a long period of time. Okay, why is that important to you? Well, I want to improve my business productivity and performance. Why is that important to you? Well, I feel I've been letting myself down, and if I don't do this, the business is not going to go in the right direction. Why is that important to you? So I'm always asking that question to really get down to the root why. And when you're crystal clear on that why, and you're visiting that why often, it makes it much easier to keep that motivation and keep you behaving and performing and taking the action in the right direction. It's not just about taking the action. It's something that you have to do intrinsically, internally, that's going to change you in terms of moving towards that desired reaction. So visiting and revisiting again your whys. For me, if I was to share my personal why, it's because I want to help busy men and women enjoy more freedom through fitness. That's my why, and I visit that all the time. Every time I record a podcast, every time I'm working with a program, I do a post, whether on LinkedIn or any kind of those social media platforms, do a video on YouTube. That is my why. I want to help busy men and women enjoy more freedom through fitness, because all too many people out there have been confused and overwhelmed and not really enjoying that freedom that they really want, because they're going about it the wrong way. And you've heard me say this many times before. Your fitness without the right frequency and consistency is flawed and foolish. And for a lot of people out there, they are acting foolishly because they're confused. There's so much misinformation. But for me, keeping it super simple, as you know, we like to do here on the Real Elevation podcast, and helping people to enjoy more freedom through their fitness, that is my why. So I'm very clear on that. So you need to write down your why. Make it a sentence. Maybe it's that I want to be strong. I want to be a great father. I want to be a great husband. I want to be someone who is really reliable in my business. I want to be pain-free and confident in my body. Write it down. Get clear in your mind on what it is that you need to do. And set yourself weekly reminders, whether it's in your phone or in your journal or however you keep notes, to revisit that. It's been studied about the importance of getting clear on your goals. And there was a study or research done from the Journal of Behavioral Medicine that shows intrinsic motivation, meaning motivation that's tied to our values, not only just helps us to focus on our outcomes, but significantly increases better adherence. Yep. So if you get clear, something that's aligned with your values, like for me, this is something that's important to me. It's not an issue for me recording a podcast. It's not an issue for me doing a video or helping someone when they ask me a question, because it's aligned with the values. I see as who I am, and I want to see people win. And this is why you need to get clear. So, first thing, get clear on your why and revisit it often. Number 2, focus on Keystone habit. And that Keystone habit is movement. Now, I chose the word movement because a lot of people, let's be honest, when it comes to the word training or exercise, it elicits certain behaviors or feelings that may be negative. So using the word movement is much easier for people to understand. And this is a keystone habit if you're going to get clear on what your goals are and going to move towards those by capitalizing on clarity. We know about habits. The world tells us that we've got to get lots of habits and practice this and practice that. But I like to go the other way and keep it super simple because, as you know, simplicity wins. And one of the keystone habits that you should be doing, minus a lot of other things, is making sure that you're moving your body on a daily basis, because this has a ripple effect in many areas in your life. For many of us who are over the age of 45, 50, we've got so many things going on. But what I found and discovered when I'm working with many of my clients is to get them to not start doing more things, but start doing less things. But making sure that movement is one of the habits that they are practicing on a daily basis. So action point that you can do to help you is to commit to 10 to 20 minutes of movement, intentional movement. So when I say movement, it doesn't mean you have to go for a massive run or you have to go to the gym and do a massive long session. It could be just simply getting up on a morning, doing some mobility exercises to help minimize that pain you may be struggling with at the moment. It could be doing some resistance band exercises that you can do once you get up. It could be doing some simple walking, going out with the dog, or going out. Now it's getting to that time of year where we're spending more time outside. Simple things like that. So do some bodyweight exercises. Whatever fits your level and your time schedule. We all have 10 to 20 minutes a day. So it's making that commitment to do that. And we know that, again, there have been different studies on intentional movement. A study was done by the American Journal of Preventive Medicine, found that as little as 150 minutes of weekly movement not only improves your physical health, but also reduces stress and helps you focus and get clarity and be more productive at work. So when you're being intentional and you've developed that daily habit of movement, you're going to be more productive, you're going to be less stressed, you're going to improve your focus, and you're going to improve your productivity. So make that commitment, move daily. And again, I say move daily, there are going to be days where things happen and you can't do it, but we're trying to breed habits, simple habits that you can do, simple habits, and you know you can find 10 minutes. Okay, moving on to number 3, eliminate distractions with an environmental reset. I'll read that again because this one's a big one. Eliminate distractions with an environmental reset. Now, when I'm speaking to a lot of my clients, they rely very heavily on willpower to stop doing things, or to start introducing new behaviors and practices into their daily life. But the reality is, willpower isn't the problem. It's the environment that often trips these people up. And when I'm saying environment, I'm saying they're not really helping themselves by having certain things around or not being in an environment that's really conducive to help them make the changes that they really want to see. So it could be things like having food that they shouldn't have in the house, having snacks everywhere, having Netflix and TVs on the phone, in the bedroom, all these distractions that we spoke about. So it doesn't leave them any space to make the changes that they really want to see. So you have to think about that, because we're all different. We all have different circumstances and situations. What distractions do you currently have? And for many people, having that phone and the access to all the information that the smartphone brings is a real big one. I battle with it, not only with myself, but with my children as well, because it's such convenience that you can access anything and everything all in the palm of your hand, but it's a big distraction. So we need to make sure we're setting ourselves up for success by making sure our environment is an environment that's conducive to what we want to see and what we want to do and how we want to change and how we want to behave. So if it means taking those snacks out of your house that you can't resist, get rid of them. If it means getting rid of the drink in your house, get rid of it. Now, I'm not saying that you can never have it, but you know where you may need to improve and, as I say, clear things up. Have a reset, Action points that you can do. Have an audit, and we call this a clarity audit. I do this with my clients that I speak with, and get their environment in a much better way that's going to help them move them towards their goals. So it could be removing junk food from easy to reach places. You'd be surprised the amount of food that shouldn't be in people's house that is for people who say they want to improve their weight or improve their energy levels. So get rid of that junk food. If you can in your house, we're talking about people who maybe not have access to a gym or don't want to go to a gym. Can you dedicate a space in your home, in your house, that you can go away and just train in that particular part of the room or in that particular part of the house? Doing something like that, so that's my training section of the house. I just can go down, do some stretches, do some mobility exercises, do some movement. Even if it's just having a mat in the front room or behind the sofa like I do, just pull it out, you can do some stretches on there. Another thing you can do, just as a prompt, put a sticky note on your goal and your mantra, so you will see it on a daily basis. So it could be the bathroom mirror, it could be in the car on the dashboard, it could be your office desk at work, or if you're working from home, obviously, you can put it in a place where you're going to see it very often. So give yourself this prompt on a regular basis about minimizing your directions and your mantra, reminding yourself on a daily basis of what it is that you're working towards, setting yourself up for success, reminding yourself, because I say it's very difficult. I'm not sat here saying for 1 minute that it's very easy. We all know about the distractions that the world brings, whether it's professionally, personally. There are a lot of distractions, but reminding yourself on a daily basis, making sure that you've got a space in your home, or you're regularly scheduling your gym visits, whatever it is for you, or you're removing the junk food or the drink or the things that you shouldn't be eating, that's going to help you to be more energized, make better food choices. They're the things that you need to be doing. They're the action points that you can do. And that's done with that clarity audit. So make sure that you're doing that. So to remind you, what we're talking about today is Capitalise with clarity. 4 ways to focus on your fitness and win. So these things that we're talking about, they're helping you to win. So we spoke about distractions with an environment reset. So eliminate those distractions, get rid of them. Number 2, we spoke about focus on that keystone habit, which is moving. Can you introduce 10 to 20 minutes of daily movement a day? Don't have to be anything excessive. Just get your body moving most days of the week. You're going to have some massive benefits. And the first thing we mentioned about clarify your why and revisit it often. So the 4th thing that we're talking about finally is protect your energy like it's the most valuable asset. Because it is, yeah? Protect your energy. Focus fades when you're running on fumes. Now, we've all been in that situation where we're tired, we're stressed, we're not thinking properly because our energy is very low. So this is why you need to protect your energy, because it is your most valuable asset. Without energy, you're not going to be able to produce, you're not going to be able to focus, you're not going to be able to be productive. And when you're tired and you're trying to make changes, it's very, very difficult. So making sure that you're getting the right amount of sleep, you're managing the stress in your life as best as possible. And stress comes in many different ways. I've shared that story with you before about when my wife and I first born, we had together. Hugo wasn't sleeping very often, and as a result, it took its toll, as any parent of young children will tell you. When the second one came along, Corinne, it was even worse because she wouldn't even go to anyone else. She was very, very clingy towards her mum, so her mum was very, very tired most of the time. And even, when we started, as we did before with Hugo, introducing a rota system where I would do a night feed and she would hopefully get a night's sleep, that was very difficult to maintain with Corinne. So you can be just looking at my wife the wrong way and she'd be looking like she wanted to kill you, because that's what happens when you're tired and fatigued, you're low energy. So you understand that protecting your energy is very important, because we've all been there when we're tired. And if we're not, protecting our energy, we're not doing the right thing to make sure we energize, revitalize. It's like a missing link, especially for people who want to see those changes, especially of us who are in those positions that are demanding, high performers. We need to make sure that we're looking after our energy most of the time. So making sure that we make time to re-energize, recuperate is very, very important. So action steps that you can do to make sure that you are protecting your energy. And this could be just one of these that you can try do, in terms of a energy ritual, as I like to call it. So one of the things that you can start doing is be consistent with your bedtime. What time do you go to bed? Are you being consistent with that? Making sure that you've got a nice, clean bedtime routine, or your bedtime hygiene, as we call it, is very good. Secondly, we can schedule in something like breath work throughout our day. So I'm not saying that you have to do this all the time, but one of the things I found that works well for me is just taking a little bit of time out when I'm working, is just going for a little bit of walk, doing some deep breathing, helping me to re-energize, refocus, and then get back to the task in hand. And one of the things that we should do, and I often talk about this in depth with my clients that I'm working with, is an unplug hour. So I'm conscious that we're always plugged into something. I'm very aware that you probably listen to this podcast on a device, but how many times do you have a device-free day or device-free hour? Something where you're just walking out in the environment, you've got your phone on airplane mode, you're away from the noise, the chaos that normal day-to-day life often can bring. So having an unplug hour is very important. And again, there's been lots of research on this. Harvard did a business review and they talked about strategic recovery. So being on purpose, basically, with your recovery and time to rejuvenate and replenish. Sleep hygiene is an opportunity for you to get that mental downtime. And if you can do that, not just on a night time, but at certain points throughout the day, it dramatically decreases cognitive clarity, and it helps with things like willpower and consistency in your fitness routine. So if you are doing your best to make sure that you do get that mental downtime, you're just taking time out throughout the day. As I mentioned, you might be just going for a walk, doing some deep breathing. You're going to see that dramatic increase in your clarity, your willpower, and also being consistent with your fitness and well-being goals. So you don't have to do everything in terms of those little points there, but think about how can you be more consistent with your bedtime, how you can maybe schedule in some breathing or some time out throughout the day, going for a walk, chilling out, and what part of the week or the day can you unplug? Just get away from the noise, just chill out, no devices. How can that be implemented into your daily routine? So they are the 4 ways to focus on your fitness and win, guys, helping you to get clarity. So let's have a quick recap on what we just discussed. If you want to capitalize, you need to think about clarifying your why and keep it in front of you. Visit this regularly. As I said, for me, I want to help as many men and women, especially over the age of 45, 50s, find more freedom through fitness. That's my clarity and that's my why. Move daily. Yeah, Keystone habit. Don't have to be anything strenuous. Simple stretching, some light movement exercises, Tai Chi, Pilates, yoga, in amongst the other things that you might be doing, some bodyweight exercise that you're doing at home. All help the body to keep energized, keep the blood flowing, keep good posture, keep that stiffness and the cobwebs off, if you like. Yeah. Number 3, design your environment for success and make it easier for you, to focus. Try to get rid of those distractions. We spoke about it before. Many of us have too many things in and around us that are not helping us change. If it's the food, it's the drink, it's the environment in the home, we need to think about changing that. And finally, protect your energy. So you can keep showing up strong. You can keep being the person that you want to be, moving towards this new, upgraded, upskilled you. But you need to protect your energy to do that because, as I said, change is hard when you're tired. Change is hard, or change can be hard anyway. I should say that change can be hard anyway. But when you're tired, fatigued, frustrated, it can be even harder. So protect your energy. So as I mentioned, this is not about perfection. This is not about making sure you tick all of these boxes as I've just mentioned, these 4 steps. It's about getting clear. And I want you to remember that it is about clarity and getting clear. Getting aligned with the things that are going to move the needle and getting focused on what actually matters. Things that are actually going to help you get towards your desired reality, your ideal reality, which you all will want. That's why you're here listening to the Real Elevation podcast. Now, if you're wanting some help with this, I'd love to have a conversation. If you're over the age 45, 50, and you're ready to upskill and upgrade your fitness and become more productive, I'd love to have a conversation with you. If you're tired of not knowing what to do, you're overwhelmed with information, and you've tried to do it alone for so long, but you've come to that point where you realize you need a bit of support, you need a bit of help, I'm inviting you to take the next step. Why don't you go to the show notes? You'll see a link there to go to the application page, fill that out, and we'll have a conversation. We'll talk about you and what it is that you want to see improved in the next 60 to 90 days. I'd love to have that conversation. All right, guys, so that is it for today. I trust you found it insightful and informative. Remember, connect with me with all the links I will leave in the show notes. You can find me on LinkedIn, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and also why not subscribe to our YouTube channel where we've got all great videos coming up there on a regular basis. So remember, be well, be wise, be cool, be calm, and keep it real. Blessings and chi. Peace.